Alright, welcome guys to part 4 of this custom gesture animation tutorial series. Once again, the link to this thread and the uh, written instructions as well as download links will be posted in the description. So, first things first, if you might have realized by now that my resolution is different, and that's because for some reason there was a bug with the editor where I couldn't see the properties in smaller resolution. Alright, so if you remember last time we created these two files here, and then I also gave you this file. It's a blank animation controller file. Today I'm going to show you how to edit this. So first thing you want to do is navigate to the mod SDK folder, go to tools, VRage editor, and then run the animation controller batch file, which should launch the program for you. Now, first things first, before we do anything else, I'm going to go to VRage Tools tab, go to Settings, and then under Game Content Path, you want to browse and navigate to your folder, mod folder. So under Roaming, Space Engineers, Mods, and then this. You want to hit OK. It will save it, and for you, it will tell you restart the editor, which I want you to go ahead and restart it. Now, once you're back here, you're ready to load up that file I gave you all. So you can go to your mods folder, data animation controller, astronaut, and it's just going to be a blank animation controller folder. Right, so once we load up the new file, we'll be able to go ahead and get started. So first things first, let's create a state machine. I'm going to call this SM Salute. Now, inside the state machine, I'm going to create a couple of states. I'm going to create a state, and I'm going to call this nothing. I'm going to create a new state called salute, and then I'm actually going to create a third state, and I'm going to call this one salute done. Now, basically what I'm trying to do is nothing is going to represent where we're not having any actions. No gestures are being played. Then we want to go from nothing to saluting. Now, once salute is played, I wanted to stay there holding that salute until I press a button again. Then it goes to this animation. It plays salute done. And once the animation is complete, it's going to jump back to where we started. Now, how do we know, or how do we trigger this transition to happen from nothing? Nothing is the default state. So how do we trigger this transition to happen? Well, if you remember, whenever we created our animation file, whatever we put here as the subtype, the way the animation system works is whenever we trigger this gesture, it calls in the code, it calls animation an animation event or animation transition. So if there's an animation transition with that name, it gets triggered. So if we're at this state and we come over here and name this transition salute, whenever we press the gesture, it will look for a transition called salute and it will trigger it. This will then take us here, and we're going to be stuck at this state for a while. So how do we go back to here and in here? Well, the exact same way. Whenever we trigger salute again in game, if I name this salute, it will trigger this transition. It will come here, and now you can add conditions to the transition. So if I do add, and then greater than or equal to animation finished, and just put this at 0.9. What this essentially does is it adds a condition that says if the animation is 90% finished, start transitioning back to where we came from. And now I'm just going to add I'm going to add a little bit of time for this so it's not instant. I'm going to leave this as 0 because I do want these transitions to be instant. And then this one I'm going to put in like 0.5 seconds. Now I also like to make this ease in. Now the problem is our state machine is set up, however none of the animations are linked. So if we double click on nothing, we can add a new node called track. We're just going to leave it blank. and we're gonna link these two, because when we're nothing, we're not playing anything. And now I figured this out by looking at the examples given by the Space Engineer team in the default file. Now for Salute, I want to create a new track, and this time I want to pull up the animation we made. So we're going to go to Models, Character Animation, Salute. Now I knew this error was going to happen. It says it's not inside content path. But you're going to say, wait a second, we did set up the content path. So how is it not inside of it? Well, there's a bug with this program for some reason. So the way I figured out to go around this is if you go to your mod folder, all you need to do is create a new folder called content, and you're going to copy and paste in here. Now whenever you come back in here, you'll be able to go to content, model, character, animation, and it won't complain. And if you notice, it actually sets the right path. It's under models, character, animation, salute. Now here is your different action sets that you created in Blender. So for the first one, I'm going to put salute begin. I don't want this to loop, and then I'm going to create my link. Now double click to go back to the state machine. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to create a new node, track, link the two, and I'm going to navigate models, characters, animations, salute. But this time I'm going to change this to end. And again, I don't want it to loop. Now we go back. Now our state machine is done. However, I want this to the state machine to only apply to the right hand. I don't want it to apply to the whole entire character. So the way to do this is by creating a new layer. Now I'm going to call this layer hand.r because it will only apply to the right hand. If we click on this bow mask right here, you'll see all the bones in our animation. So if we click use bow mask, and now we go through and select only the right hand bones. So let's start here. Upper arm, palm, forearm, collarbone, right weapon pin, thumb, and all the different fingers. And then we'll start on the left. So, okay, selected this layer. Now we can tell it which state machine to use. So we want to use this state machine. And we can also specify what node it starts at, so nothing. So now our animation is going to go from here to salute, to here, to here. And in theory, now we want to save. You should save your file. And the only good thing about this tool is that we can actually preview this live in game. So if we launch our Space Engineers game, once the game is launched, we can actually load in our mode by going new game, custom game, pick our map, like the, where's this, empty world, make sure it's creative, mods, and then your mod should appear right here. Move it over. As a side note, you can actually publish your mode from here once it's ready. Okay, start, and let it load. First things first, if we press G, go to character animation, and the new gesture you added should appear right here. You just drag it to the toolbar, and if you notice, it's already playing. So let me finish it so I can demonstrate. So now, if you look at the animation controller editor, if you notice, whenever I press 1, it's going to go from nothing to salute, and then it's going to stay there until I press 1 again. Then it's going to transition to salute done, and then once that's finished, it's going to transition back to where we started. So if I play it, now as you can see, sometimes the animation looks weird in certain scenarios like flying, but the benefit of this tool is I can edit them on the spot. if I'm correct, you can mess around with making these add, or you can make them replace the animation. It all depends. This you can do some quite complicated things with this, but I'd encourage you to experiment and see if you come up with a better system. But in general, that's pretty much covers all the basics on how to create your own gestures into Space Engineers. Thank you all for watching. Have a good one.